So, what happens when a group of small, competing businesses in a beautiful Moroccan oasis decides to stop fighting and start building something together? Well, this is that story. It's a fascinating look at how collaboration, a smart strategy, and a pretty clever legal tool completely transformed an entire region's economy.
And this really is the central question, isn't it? I mean, it's a huge challenge that communities all over the world face. You've got all this incredible local talent, amazing small businesses, but everybody's kind of pulling in their own direction. So how do you unite them? How do you create something way bigger than what any single person could build on their own? The answer, it turns out, lies in a place called Tafilalet.
All right, so our story kicks off in the Tafilalet Oasis region of Morocco. It's home to the famous Route du Majhoul. And you got to understand, this is a place of just stunning beauty. It has enormous, completely untapped potential for ecotourism. But there was a major roadblock, a big one.
Think about it. The region was packed with these fantastic guest houses, amazing tour guides, skilled artisans, you name it. But here's the problem. They were all in their own little islands. And this kind of fragmentation, well, it creates a classic race to the bottom. You've got businesses competing on price, and that prevents the destination as a whole from building a unified, high-quality identity.
So, to solve this, the project leaders knew they couldn't just throw another marketing campaign at the problem. No way. They proposed something much more fundamental, a change to the very business structure itself. And they found a legal framework that was perfectly suited to the Moroccan landscape.
They formed something called a GIE. Now, the simplest way to wrap your head around this is to think of it like a strategic alliance. This legal structure lets all these small independent businesses pool their resources. They can work together on marketing, buy supplies in bulk, and create amazing tour packages, all without having to merge or give up their own brand. It's brilliant, really. You get the best of both worlds, collective power and individual identity.
And listen, this wasn't just some handshake deal over tea. Nope, this was a serious, really well-funded initiative. We're talking a budget of over 1.4 million Moroccan dirhams. To put that in perspective for you, that's roughly 140,000 US dollars. That is a significant chunk of change, and it signals that every single partner was deeply committed to making this work.
And this table just lays it all out so perfectly. It shows you exactly how they pulled this off. It was a true public-private partnership. You had the GIE members themselves putting their own cash on the line. Then you had the regional Oasis program, and they brought in the technical know-how. And, crucially, a national development agency, and ZOA, came in with the biggest share of the funding. You see? Everybody had skin in the game.
Okay, so they've got the big idea, they've got the funding, but now what? How do you actually bring an alliance like this to life? Well, let me tell you, the process they used was every bit as impressive as the concept itself.
Yeah, this was not some weekend workshop. This was an intense, super structured 21-week process. They started with planning, then moved on to getting the community excited and involved. And look at this, they spent a full 12 weeks just hammering out the economic models and figuring out if this was even feasible. Then they finished with a solid training plan. This was methodical and professional from day one.
And getting in? It wasn't as simple as just signing on a dotted line. Oh no. To even get a seat at the table, prospective members had to do some serious homework. They had to fill out these incredibly detailed questionnaires, forcing them to dig deep into their own business models, their own financials. And this wasn't about being exclusive. It was about making sure every single member was 100% serious and ready to contribute.
And this commitment to data, it was absolutely non-negotiable. I mean, this quote from the project report says it all. A lack of data meant de facto exclusion. Basically, if you couldn't show your numbers, if you couldn't prove you were a serious operator, you couldn't be part of the founding group. Simple as that. This made sure the whole thing was built on a foundation of rock-solid, fully invested partners.
And here it is, the result of all that hard, foundational work. You're not just looking at an attendance sheet here. This is basically a social contract. These are the actual signatures of the local business leaders who went through that whole rigorous process and formally committed right there to building this shared future together. This, right here, this is what real buy-in looks like.
But look, creating the GIE was really just the beginning. That's step one. To actually make it succeed for the long haul, the members needed the right tools to manage their new collective enterprise effectively.
So, one of the key tools they developed was something called the tableau de bord. Now, that just translates to a performance dashboard. And this thing was absolutely crucial. It gave everyone a simple, crystal clear way to move beyond guesswork and start managing their collective business using real, objective data. And they weren't tracking random stuff either. They tracked what really mattered. You can see the focus here, right? Customer sentiment, both the good and the bad. The entire sales funnel, from initial website traffic all the way to a final booking. And of course, the bottom line, occupancy rates and gross margin. This is exactly how you run a modern professional tourism operation.
They also totally professionalized their bread and butter, creating awesome tourist packages. They implemented this really clear 4-step process. Step 1, deeply understand what the client wants. Step 2, research all the options. Step 3, use their new group power to negotiate the best rates. And finally, Step 4, build a balanced, compelling, world-class itinerary. It's this systematic approach that ensures quality and consistency every single time.
So, when you step back and look at this whole thing, what are the big takeaways? What can we learn from this pretty remarkable project? Well, it's more than just a feel-good story. It's actually a blueprint, a model that can be replicated.
And this quote just gets to the absolute heart of why this all worked. The goal wasn't just to deliver a bunch of reports and plans and say, good luck. No. The real victory was making sure that the local entrepreneurs themselves owned the process, that they actually used the tools. You know? This was about building lasting capacity and empowerment, not just creating temporary dependence.
Ultimately, when you boil it all down, this is what the GIA was all about. It took all of those separate, incredibly talented operators, all of those individual puzzle pieces, and it snapped them together. It locked them in place to create one single, powerful, and way more attractive picture for the entire world to see.
So there you have it. That's the blueprint. A smart legal structure, a rigorous vetting process to ensure total commitment, data-driven tools for professional management, and a relentless focus on local empowerment. It worked like a charm in Tafilalet. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? Where else in the world could this exact model be the key to unlocking some incredible hidden potential?